Remove carcinogens and get your gear compliant clean with Unimac laundry equipment. Find it at alliancelaundry.com/fire.
There are two things firefighters dislike: the way things are, and change.
Sometimes traditional ways clash with the need for change.
That's where we come in.
Slicing through the noise with insights that matter.
Welcome to Igniting the Shift Within.
Your launch pad to revolutionize the way you think and work and lead.
Welcome to Igniting the Shift Within. I'm David Dashinger. Are you ready to take your career to the next level? Then join us as we dive deep into the firefighter entrance and promotional testing process. And in today's episode, Deputy Chief Al Pratts is going to share insights on preparing for the challenges ahead. Whether you're gearing up for your first exam or looking to promote up the ranks, we have tips and strategies for you so you can succeed in that process. And Chief Pratts is going to share 3 tactical takeaways you can use to enhance your wellness, performance, and leadership. Quick word about Chief Pratts. He's a veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps and has served in the North Hudson, New Jersey Regional Fire and Rescue since 2004. He quickly rose through the ranks by scoring at the top of each of his promotional lists and became a captain in 2010, working in the department's busiest companies in West New York, New Jersey. He became a battalion chief in 2017 and was promoted to deputy chief in 2022. He's North Hudson Special Operations and Training Division Commander and is a subject matter expert in fire service active shooter response. And in addition to all that, he's also an instructor and teaches at the academy and university programs, and he's written articles for Fire Engineering magazine. Chief, welcome to Igniting the Shift Within.
Thank you so much for having me, David. I'm glad to be here with you again.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to have these conversations with you. And I think this topic it's got to be one of the most, important, impactful topics for either firefighters or, let's say, people that want to get into the fire service, or those who are in and want to promote up and kind of learn the ups and downs of what it takes to navigate that process. So let's dive into it.
Let's do it.
So you've got a lot of experience and you do this sort of as a side professional gig. What are some of the common misconceptions that younger firefighters have about the promotion process, and how can they better prepare to navigate that?
Yeah, I think that probably some of the common misconceptions regarding the fire service. And again, I mean, it really depends on where it is that you're testing for or what department you're looking to get into. A lot of young men and women that are looking to get into this profession just don't understand what it takes to get into the profession. Meaning, what is the process? What is the testing process like? What are the requirements? What is it that they're looking for, and how to best prepare? I know that a lot of young men and women that are looking to get into the fire service, and they're going to college and they take fire science classes to help them prepare. That's definitely great, but it may not be an actual requirement depending on where it is that you're looking to be hired. May not be a requirement to get on the job. So I think that what we tell young men and women that are looking to get into this profession is understand the process, know what the process is, so that you don't waste a whole lot of time doing things that are not necessarily going to set you up for success and get you in that path where you need to be to get on the job.
That's a great point. And it seems like every state or even locality has a completely different set of requirements and testing procedures and that sort of thing, right? It's like,
I mean, every state, every state is a little bit different. And even for us within New Jersey, you have the New Jersey Civil Service testing program, which is the same for any fire department that's within the civil service or falls under civil service. But then you have your other fire departments that don't fall under the civil service, and the testing process is a little bit different. Yeah. We're very familiar with the process, regardless if it's civil service, non-civil service. In fact, we've worked with people that have tried to or were looking to get onto a fire department in other states throughout the country, because we are pretty familiar with that process as well. We do a lot of research. We happen to be subject matter experts, not just in fire service or fire science, but also in the hiring process and the promotional process across the board, both with test development and test assessment as well, which is very important to understand that, so you know how to study, you know how to prepare.
Absolutely. And then to your point, became familiar with the process in New York and Connecticut, where I was departments in both states, and then moved to Florida. And down here, it is so different. I still haven't quite wrapped my brain around how it works. So yeah, very important to do that due diligence. Talk a little bit about test taking and studying. Like, what are some of the successful habits or methods you found that work the best?
Yeah, so I want to take just a little step back for a second, and even before getting into how to become a successful test taker or studier or student for that matter, I think it's important to understand the process and understand what it is that you're going to be going through. So in other words, familiarize yourself with the test taking process or the hiring process for that specific jurisdiction that you're testing for. So that's got to be number one, is you have to understand the process. You have to understand you have to know your why, meaning why do you want to become a firefighter? I think that's extremely important. That's outside of the test, but I think that if you're in it for the right reasons, because you want to help, you want to serve, I think that you're going to be much more successful because your heart's going to be in it, and you're going to be all in throughout the entire process. But one thing I would say is discipline is extremely important. Is you have to be disciplined. So you want the job, it's something that you've wanted to do all your life, or maybe it's something that kind of just fell in your lap. And you realize that, you know what, this is a great job, and I really want to put my best effort forward so that I can, get hired and get onto the job here. You have to be disciplined enough to take the time to put the work in and to study. So understanding what the process is, and then taking the time to study, whether through taking promotional prep classes or buying some of the books that are available online through Amazon that can help you through the test taking process. But understand that there's different learning styles, and you have to be able to implement these different learning styles. There are people that are visual learners, right? They can see something, they can watch a movie, they can watch a video, and they absorb the information. Other people that are auditory, they have to maybe audible books or something like that, and they have to just listen to it or listen and watch videos and to start absorbing that information. And then you have your hands-on learners, people that learn best by actually doing the job. And then you have learners that are good through reading and writing, and they can absorb the information. So I would say is know which type of learner you are, where your strengths and weaknesses lie, and then work on those weaknesses so you can implement all those different learning styles to help you along the process. So you read the books, you highlight, you record yourself reading certain notes, you listen to your recording. So when you start doing this and implementing all these different learning styles, then you start absorbing this information without even realizing it. So I think that's very important as far as being good at taking tests and doing well. And so for firefighters that are taking the exams to move up the ranks, they implement these different learning styles and then take the information that you've learned in the books and then apply it on the fire ground, right? And that's really where you're going to marry those two different things, right? What you're doing on the fire ground and the different learning styles. And I think that helps to develop successful test takers and people that get hired and move up the ranks.
Good points. And I just want to underscore what you're saying about discipline, right? We kind of have to approach it like we would if we were preparing for like running a marathon or, a weightlifting, championship or something. You have to kind of be, as you said, all in and really prioritize it and look at it as almost like you're training for, an Olympic event. Which, use whatever means possible. And, for me, it was like drive time. I'm in my car. I'm going to use that time to practice my oral, responses to questions I might see in an oral board. And it really seemed to, be an effective use. It's downtime anyway. Why not use it to prep?
Yeah, I did. I did the same thing when I was moving up the ranks and I was taking different promotional exams. I would have my notes on size up factors, building construction, so on and so forth. And then I had about an hour drive to and from work, and I would spend that time listening to the notes that I prepared for myself to the point where I would end up finishing my sentences before I would hear it. Then I drove my wife crazy. We'd be driving down the street, going to the mall, going shopping, whatever the case is. And I'd size up a building and she's like, oh, here we go again. And I'll give a size. Right? We have a 3-story ordinary residential dwelling with a flat roof. And I would recite that over and over again until it became second nature. Right. So,
yeah.
And if it's that important to you, I mean, and some people only have one shot, one opportunity, depending on age requirements and depending on how old you are, you may only have one opportunity at this. So, and there are so many people that want this job and are dying to get this job. It's highly competitive. So, you may only have one opportunity. You got to put it all out there.
Definitely. And to look at it a different way, there's people that wait till the last minute to study or cram, or, they don't do that preparation like we're describing. And typically that's not a formula for success.
No, I mean, and listen, you do have people that get lucky and they work really well under pressure and they just happen to do well right away. But that's a very small percentage. It's about preparation, and that preparation is not just to do well, to be hired, or to do well enough on an exam to get hired, or to move up the ranks. I mean, it goes throughout your entire career, because you never stop. You should never stop learning. You should never stop training. You should never stop preparing. So you start developing those habits early on before you get on the job, and then you make that a habit as you start moving up the ranks, or whether you decide to move up the ranks or not, doesn't matter. You should be a constant student of the fire service and constantly learning and perfecting or trying to perfect your craft.
Let's talk to those who have tested before, either to get into the fire service, or those that have tested on the promotional exams, and for one reason or another, they just don't seem to ever get to that final round, or the final band, and they never get the promotion. What do you say to them? Like, is there some change they can make to their approach to testing that might help?
I mean, it requires a lot of self-reflection, and you have to understand what is it that you're missing. Why are you not getting to that next level? I know firefighters that are excellent firefighters, are some of the best, either ladder company firefighters, engine company firefighters, and they're some of the best men and women at their job, but they don't do well on the promotional exam. They just don't do well for whatever reason. When it comes to test taking time, they kind of draw a blank. So you have to understand, what is it that you're missing? And then once you do that, then you can start working on those weaknesses. I would say, find a mentor, find someone that has moved up the ranks, maybe someone that you can relate to, and maybe they found something that worked for them that might work for you. So find a mentor, find somebody out there within the fire service that can help you along the process. Reach out to companies like Promotional Prep, or any other company out there that you feel is a right fit for you for the test taking process, and help you along. Because sometimes it's just a very slight adjustment that you need to kind of change your perspective, and then understand, okay, you know what? I realize that I've been fighting the test all along. And a lot of times in the promotional process, that's what happens. We fight the test, because there's a test world, and then there's real world. Right. And there's things that they want you to answer, and things that they want you to say for the test that you wouldn't normally say or do in your department. And so you want to fight the test, and that works against you. So sometimes just changing those little things could be enough to really help you advance and move up the ranks. The other thing is that, not everyone is cut out to be a fire officer, right? Yep. That's the other thing as well, right? You have to understand, are you ready to promote? Why is it that you're looking to get promoted? Is it finances, right? Because, if you're on a career job, the money's definitely great, right? The money definitely helps. And, everyone has a different financial situation at home, but you have to understand, is it that you have a desire to lead? Do you have a desire to help fellow firefighters? I think that can help with your motivation to be able to say, you know what, I want to take an extra couple steps here and go all in and really make a great effort. So, and then you have to understand and accept the fact that, if you do get promoted, effective leadership takes a lot of work, and you have to be willing to put the work in. Right.
It's just not the means to an end. There's more to it than that beyond the promotion.
That's really where the hard work begins. After, if you're lucky enough to get promoted, then the hard work begins. Because it's not like you take a test, you don't do well when you get a point taken away. Whereas in real world, if you make the wrong decision, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, then lives are at risk, property's at risk, and there are real consequences, not just not doing well on a promotional exam.
Great points. I just want to talk a little bit about mindset, because there may be people that study their butts off and feel totally prepared, but then when they get into that oral interview, they just don't seem to ace it like some other people do. Is there something that people project that make them come across better? Is there a mindset that people can have that kind of gives them more sense of confidence, or that they are that officer even though they haven't been promoted yet?
So you just mentioned if it gives something that gives them that confidence. And I was going to say that the mindset is confidence itself. I mean, that's huge. If you're confident and you come across confident in your oral interview or assessment, then that's going to score a lot of points for you. So it's not about memorizing the information and memorizing the material. It's really understanding the material. So if you understand building construction, if you understand incident command, if you understand strategies and tactics and how to implement them depending on the construction type, the occupancy type, where the fire is within the building, whether you have victims trapped inside the structure, whether there's a wind condition or any other external sides of factors that are affecting or can affect the outcome of this fire. If you really understand the material, then you're going to naturally come across a lot more confident when you're given that explanation versus having to memorize and say, well, did I remember to say this? Did I remember to say that? Right? Or trying to memorize a script. Like, we don't teach students to memorize a script. Like, I can write a script down and give it to you and send you on your way and say, here, memorize this. And then on test day, they throw you a curveball and you don't know how to address that curveball. You don't have that confidence because you don't really understand the information. So you have to understand, and the fire service changes all the time. Fire science changes all the time. It's ever evolving, right? What we learned 20 years ago is not what we're learning today. So you have to really, really understand that. And if you do, then you're going to come across confident. That's going to be that mindset that you really need to have, because that's one less thing that you have to worry about on test day is, am I going to say the right things? No, I'm confident. I know I'm going to say this. I know I'm going to handle this. I'm going to put this fire out. I'm going to make sure all my people are safe. And then we're going to go home and, I'll get ready for my promotion. Right. So you got to come in with that confidence.
So let's look at people that are still waiting to be promoted, or perhaps they've just, haven't succeeded, but they're still obviously wanting to contribute to the fire service. What strategies can they or younger firefighters apply to demonstrate their leadership and then continue to make a positive contribution to the department, even if they don't get that promotion?
Yeah, listen, even a day one probie has the ability to lead and should be looking to lead. We just put a class of 18 firefighters into the fire academy. And every time that we have a class of new recruits, I get a chance to speak to them prior to them going to the fire academy and basically let them know what to expect in the academy, what to expect when they graduate the academy, how to behave, right? You have to kind of hold them by the hand a little bit, right? And just kind of give them all this information. And one of the things that I tell them is be a leader. And even you as a probationary firefighter, you can lead by leading by example and showing the other probationary firefighters, how to conduct yourself, right, in the fire academy. Then even on day one, when you graduate the fire academy and you walk into the firehouse for the first day, right, being the first one to, take the initiative to make the coffee, go through the apparatus and check all the compartments, make sure, familiarize yourself with the tools, do things without being told what to do. And then that starts setting that example. Right. And then what it also starts to do is those other firefighters that are in that house that are not the probationary firefighters, a lot of times they start stepping up their game as well, because they see the new guy coming into the firehouse and, he's curious, he's asking a lot of questions, and then everyone kind of starts stepping up their game. So everyone within their rank and responsibility has the ability and should be looking to lead, whether you get promoted or not, whether you're waiting to get promoted, whether you're moving up the ranks, because you don't want to wait until promotion day, right? And then your first day as a company officer or as a chief officer to start figuring out then. You need to start developing that muscle memory along the way, right? From the beginning all the way through the end, so that you've been practicing how to lead all along without even realizing that this is what you've been practicing for. Because it's not something that you can just from one day to another, just, flip of a switch, be able to lead. It doesn't really work that way. You have to put in the work and the effort. And that's why I said before, know and understand, am I ready to be promoted? Am I ready to promote? Okay, have I taken these steps to lead if I do get promoted? If not, then I have to start working on this now, start reading leadership books, start taking classes, do whatever you need to do to be able to make yourself successful. Because as I said before, it's not just you now, right? Now you're responsible for people, and you're responsible for their safety. So it's extremely important. But everybody within their rank of responsibility should be looking to lead.
I always thought of it as a body of work. We're creating that body of work from the academy onwards, and part of that you could also say is your reputation, right? Or people take notice when you are doing the small things and maybe some of the bigger things, but it's that body of work that goes with you throughout your career, and certainly is going to influence how people see you, and perhaps it's kind of your resume that you can use when you're in the promotional process, because there's times when you're going to get asked, what have you contributed to the department, or what projects have you done, or initiatives have you started? And that's when you can have you can confidently say, I've done X, Y, and Z, and feel like, yes, I have contributed to this department. I would make a good leader.
Right. Yeah. Listen, if you understand the standard and you operate within that standard, you're not setting yourself in that path, right? That trajectory that you're setting at that point is just to be a minimal standard basic firefighter, right? You're not, you're operating at that standard, not above. And it's very easy to develop a bad reputation in the fire service. It's difficult, in my opinion, to develop a good reputation, because a good reputation is the firefighter that constantly goes above and beyond, right? Looks to develop programs and special projects, or does things that are outside of the standard or outside of the minimum. That's hard to do. That work is hard to do. You make one mistake, you do something in the fire service that you don't fess up to, you don't own up to, or it shows that your character in a negative light. That's very hard to shake. Knowing what the standard is, but constantly operating above that standard, have that higher operational tempo at all times, and then that's really what's going to set you apart and put you in that path to effective leadership.
Great, good stuff. So let's kind of look at somebody who's maybe got a couple years on, 2 to 5 years. How do they know if and when they're ready to promote? Like, what advice do you give them to kind of self-assess, or maybe have someone else assess them and let them know, hey, yeah, it's time to start putting in for the promotion?
So I would say that as soon as you're able to take a test, I would say take that promotional exam even before feeling like you're ready to promote. And the reason for that is because there's no better practice for the actual exam than the exam itself. You can take classes, you can sit down with people, and you can go over the material, but there's nothing like having the stress of sitting down on test day and taking that exam and then seeing what it's like, and then going back to once you have your results, and if your agency or your department or your city or state jurisdiction provides you with the ability to review your test and see how you did, take advantage of that as well, because and then you can actually see where your strengths and weaknesses are. So as soon as you're able to, even if you don't feel like you're ready to promote, take the test. All right. Even if you don't study a day, go and take the test. Do yourself a favor. You'll be better for it. But how do you know? And that's got to be a conversation that you have with yourself, right? It's some self-reflection, conversation that you have with your family, because depending on the testing process, you have to kind of put your family aside for a little bit and really dig in the books, and it wasn't difficult. It was difficult for me to do that with having a family through every promotional exam that I've taken, where I said, babe, you know what? She knows that I have an exam coming up, and I'm like, I'm going to go down to the basement, close myself off, and I'm not going to talk to anybody for the next 2 or 3 months. Now, she's not the type to allow that. She's like, yeah, no, you're not going to close. We have stuff to do and you have to be involved. And I was like, all right, I get it. So I would get up at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning to study and really take the time and effort to find that extra time, so I don't have to sacrifice my family all the time to study. But have that conversation with yourself, have that conversation with your family, and then accept that this job is difficult. The job of leading firefighters is an extremely difficult job with some real consequences. You have to know what the job entails. You have to know your fellow firefighters. You have to know your department, your response area, understand the community itself that you're going to be serving, because it's one thing to serve as a firefighter where you're following orders, and it's another thing to be accountable. Right. To not just the firefighters, but also to the community and the public. So understand that community, And then things like obviously building construction and fire behavior. These are things that you have to know because now you're the boss. And that doesn't mean that you have to know everything. You don't, just because you get promoted, you realize that because you get promoted, you're not required to know everything, but you're required to have to constantly seek that information as much as possible. Right. So, it's you want to be humble to say, you know what, I don't know everything that I need to know as a company officer, but I'm going to try my best to figure it all out. Right. So, and that just comes with humility, and then being a constant student of the fire service to make yourself better, because like I said before, now you're accountable for other people.
Right. Yeah. Very true. I want to just segue into talking about promotional prep. Can you talk about kind of why they're the go-to organization for fire service test prep?
Yeah, so at Promotional Prep, we're either current or retired chief officers within New Jersey. We have Frank Montaigne, who's a retired chief of department for my department, North Hudson Regional Fire and Rescue. Deputy Chief Mike Turpak, who's retired out of Jersey City, and then myself. And we've been intimately involved for one way or the other with the actual hiring processes, not just in our departments, but understanding the hiring processes in other departments throughout the country. We're subject matter experts in test development and test assessment, and we're subject matter experts in things like size up, building construction, incident command, fire department administration. So these things really help when helping other students prepare and study for these things that they're going to be tested for. The one thing that I would say that we're most proudest of is the fact that every time that we run a class, whether it's a entry-level firefighter exam seminar, or if it's a company officer or a chief officer program, we always ask who has been sent here by their family members. And the vast majority of the class raises their hands. Current firefighters, retired firefighters send their kids, their family members to promotional prep because they trust us. It's something that we've worked a long time to build. It's not something that happens overnight. Just prior to jumping on this call, I had a student, which I haven't spoken to in about 2 years, reach out to me with a question from a textbook. He sends me a text message. Hey, well, I don't understand that. I don't understand this section. What does this mean? And I took the time to send him a text message, reply back to him. I even drew out a layout and a diagram to better explain what the textbook was trying to explain. And that's what, it's something that sets us apart. And it's worked for us, not just in New Jersey, but Connecticut, Pennsylvania, New York. I just worked with a student who is getting, Bill Simmons. He's getting promoted today to deputy chief in White Plains Fire Department. Okay. He reached out to me. He wanted some help with the interview process for his promotion. Helped him out with that, and he's getting promoted today. We just got asked to go back to Philadelphia Fire Department for the second test cycle in a row to assist their firefighters and fire officers with their promotional testing program as well. We were there last year, and there were many firefighters that got promoted and moved up the ranks with our assistance, and we're definitely humbled to be able to be asked to come back. So I think we're doing something right. And then with students throughout the country that reach out to us, because we can use Zoom as one of the platforms that we use for test preparation. It allows us to close that gap, that distance gap that we have, and then be able to provide a great program through Zoom, something that we can send them the video back to them so that they can review and use that as another tool for their preparation. So these are just some of the things that I believe I'm super proud to be a part of.
Great. And while we're there, just tell us, where can people find you and Promotional Prep, internet, social media, all that stuff?
Yeah, so promotionalprep.com is our website. Find us at Instagram at Promotional Prep, Facebook as well. And yeah, that's where you can find us. I'm also on LinkedIn. If you look, Al Pratts at LinkedIn, you can find me there as well.
Okay, fantastic. Let's close up with the 3 tactical takeaways. These are actionable items that firefighters can use to enhance their health, performance, and leadership. So, Al, what do you got?
Well, the first thing that I'll say is accept that the job comes with some real consequences and real responsibility, right? These are life and death consequences, right? What we do and what we say, or what we don't do or what we don't say, can have some real life and death effects on people that we serve, right? The community that we serve, and also firefighters that we work alongside with. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? So this is something that it takes a lot of responsibility with this job. Be willing to make unpopular decisions, and train as your life depends on it. So all that was one thing. So I apologize, it was a little bit long-winded, but accept the fact that the job comes with some real consequences and responsibilities.
Good. What do you got for number 2?
Believe in firehouse karma, right? And what I mean by that is what you put into this job, you will get back. So you can easily, spend the next 20, 25 years in this career just doing the bare minimum, as I said before, and you're going to get that back. You're going to get back the bare minimum. But if you put all your time and effort into this job, if you respect the job and you go the extra mile, that's going to be returned back to you, because what's going to happen is you're going to realize that firefighters, especially as an officer, want to work with you because you're putting in that extra time and effort. You're going to realize that you're that go-to company officer, or you're that go-to firefighter, and it's going to make every single day in the firehouse that much more pleasurable, because those 20 or 25 years can go real fast. And the last thing you want to do is have regrets and turn around and say, you know what did I do with these last 20, 25 years besides just, cashing in the paycheck? Right. You want to walk away knowing that you made the job, you left the job better than you found it.
Yes. And I think part of, being an officer sometimes means going outside of your comfort zone and doing some difficult things that maybe it's easier to take, sit back and be on the line and kind of get directed. But when you step up to that leadership role, it's also something I think you can look back at when you've wound your career up and say, yeah, I kind of tried those challenging, difficult things, but I'm glad I did, because I grew as a person.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you'll see people that firefighters that have retired, and you're like, yeah, he was a good guy, but what else? What did he do? Mm-hmm. Right? What did he leave for us? What kind of legacy did you leave? And I'm always thinking about that. And I want to make sure that I do everything that I could do to make it better than I found it, and that's gonna repay me back in dividends. I'm gonna feel better about myself in knowing that I did everything that I could do, every single day of my career.
Absolutely. What's takeaway number 3?
Understand or never underestimate the therapeutic properties of the firehouse kitchen and the apparatus bays. In the firehouse kitchen, you'll find attorneys, you'll find contractors, therapists, relationship experts, although relationship expert always happens to have been divorced a couple times. It's like the firehouse Angie's List. And it's a great, in my opinion, it's probably one of the best things. And for me, maybe one of the reasons why I want to stay as a tour commander, where I'm doing a 24-hour shift with the guys versus moving up one more notch, being the chief of department, where now I'm working Monday through Friday and I'm in administration, I'm working in the office. There's something about being in the firehouse with the guys that is so therapeutic. It's something that you look forward to. It's like, we do 24 on 72 off, and then when I get off work in the morning, I can't wait to go back to work. Yeah. And it's got that therapeutic effect, and firehouse kitchen, and there's a saying, there's no rank in the tank. So the tank being the sink, right? So when you're in the firehouse kitchen, the guys are cooking for you. There's no, the chief officer, I'm going to sit here in the kitchen while guys clean up after me. This is where you get up and do the work with the guys. And there should never be any rank in the kitchen. And then that's where you should have that camaraderie, and the firefighters should feel comfortable enough to start having conversations. And you'll be surprised at how many real world conversations are had in the firehouse, especially in the firehouse kitchen or that apparatus bay. Things that you're going through something at home, and you don't realize that maybe someone else is going through the same thing. Maybe it's a health scare that you have that you realize that somebody else had the same health scare. Having those conversations, being able to vent, being able to talk about the job we just had, right? Whether it was good or bad or indifferent, right? Being able to have those conversations, even if it's smoking a cigar on a nice spring or summer night outside the firehouse with the overhead bay doors open, or just, sitting out there and having conversations with the community, just being part of the people, being part of the public. It's something that I want to say it's undescribable as much as I tried to describe it, but it is completely, in my opinion, something that is underrated. And is therapeutic. It's just, for me, it's just good for the soul. Being able
Absolutely.
to sit there with the fellow firefighters and just be able to talk shop and just have honest conversations with no barriers, no walls, no rank. There's just something about that I don't think you can get anywhere else on this or in any career out there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And that's one of the things that I think I miss the most about the job, having retired. So, enjoy that part of it because it is, as you say, unique. And I don't know of any other job that you have that opportunity. So let's wrap up. I want to thank you for being here today, sharing your knowledge and expertise. And as always, it's a pleasure to have these conversations with you.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for watching Igniting the Shift Within. Join us next time to hear more from the game changers who are shaping our profession. You can check out our website at podpage.com/igniting and make sure to like and follow Firefighter Nation on YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and their website, firefighternation.com. Stay safe, stay connected, keep igniting the shift within.
Remove carcinogens and get your gear compliant clean with Unimac laundry equipment. Find it at alliancelaundry.com/fire.
There are two things firefighters dislike: the way things are, and change.
Sometimes traditional ways clash with the need for change.
That's where we come in.
Slicing through the noise with insights that matter.
Welcome to Igniting the Shift Within.
Your launch pad to revolutionize the way you think and work and lead.